Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we're doing another pick a card. Today's pick a card, we are taking a look at what aspects of yourself does your inner child want you to activate and make room for. So the reason I wanted to do this is because in childhood, growing up, and in our teens, even in our like early 20s, 30s, whatever, we repress parts of ourselves, parts of our personality, emotions, things that we like, we kind of push them down, and sometimes we forget about them when we're going through rebirths and transforming and just going through life, and we can forget about aspects of ourselves. And I really wanted to tap into the inner child and really see what your inner child wants you to activate. What part of you does your inner child want you to kind of bring to the forefront, kind of like a gift from your inner child, like remember me, that sort of thing. So that's what we're doing. So I have 3 piles for you guys to choose from. Pile number 1 is the bunny nightlight. Pile number 2 in the middle is the fairy globe crystal ball thingy, and pile number 3 is the shell. So see which object you're drawn to. The timestamps are going to be in the description box as usual, and I will see you guys at your timestamps. Hey Pawan, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what does your inner child want you to activate right now? What part of yourself does your inner child want you to bring to the forefront? So pile number 1, please, spirit guides, tap me into the collective of my pile number 1s, please. Tap me into the collective of my pile number 1s. Tap me into pile number 1's inner child. What gift does my pile number 1's inner child have for them? We have the 4 of Swords. What gift does pile number 1's inner child have for them? We have the Emperor. I'm hearing let loose. I just shared that, let loose. Pile number 1, please, spirit guides. Pile number 1, please, spirit guides. What? Oh god, the cards exploded. Where did that go? We have the 2 of Wands and we have the 6 of Cups. They both kind of like run in a different direction. And then we have the 10 of Cups at the back of the deck. Okay. 4 of Swords, the Emperor, the 2 of Wands, and the 6 of Wands. Yeah, I'm hearing let loose. There's almost this feeling like I almost feel like I'm taking everything very seriously. Maybe because I have to. Maybe because I've been doing inner work and I've had to really look at darker emotions, darker feelings. Maybe it's because I've had to have my head down and be very structured, being very adult, you know what I mean? And that's not to say that's wrong, and that's not to say that you're meant to just completely throw that to the side, but there's a reference of a balance coming in, because I almost feel like I'm doing things just because, like, I feel like I'm stepping into a more lighter-hearted energy, like almost like I'm kind of bending rules a little bit. Now, I don't mean in the sense of like cutting corners or like, being lazy and just chucking everything. I don't mean it like that. I've noticed recently sometimes my words are getting really misconstrued in a way that I don't mean it to. So I'm trying to like make it, make sense so you guys can like understand. But there's this feeling of like maybe I'm looking at life and I have this rule book in front of me, and it's like I have to do it exactly like by the dot. I have to do it exactly the way that maybe I've been taught to do it. Like I almost feel like everything has to be in its place. There's a very, very strong structure, and I feel like I want to kind of like stretch that. I feel like I really want to kind of like let loose in that aspect. I really feel like I kind of want to play, and I want to just try things differently, like just because. The only way I can describe it, I remember I was watching, I think it was Aphrodite, love him by the way. I was watching one of his videos and it was about Nicki Minaj, and I think it was Cardi B the video was about, and he was talking about Nicki Minaj, and I'm sure she's very like Saturnian, and I'm sure she has like a Aquarius Ascendant or something like that, and her like beef from like the energetic perspective with Cardi B was that when she would like apply, like in terms of like her craft and like the rapping and stuff, she had like really strict rules for herself, and you had to do this to get this, and everything had to be like a certain way. And of course she had to really like push and fight to get what she wanted out of like her rap career. And the reason she was frustrated with Cardi, I think I feel like you said that like Cardi got things a little easier, and Cardi didn't look at like rap in the same way Nicki did, and she was looking at it from a more fun perspective, like I'm just making money, like it was a more lighter perspective, if that makes sense. And when he was explaining, he was like, neither of them are wrong. And it's true, neither of them were wrong, but Nicki had like a specific way in terms of how she saw rap and music, and you know, she wanted to be like a legend. Cardi B didn't want to do that. Cardi B had a different like avenue. Neither of them really were wrong. And that's in life, you know, sometimes we can like we can apply ourselves to something, or we can just apply ourselves to life, and we can have like a really structured, rooted way in terms of looking at how things are supposed to end up. But then sometimes people will have a different way, and it doesn't necessarily make them wrong. And there's a reference to really almost like review. I feel like I'm looking at this kind of like structured book, and I'm reviewing. Do I need to, like, does it have to be this hard, or can I try things a different way, or can I lighten up in certain areas? Can I allow things to flow in other areas? Where can I bring play into this? Where can I allow a flow into this? You know what I mean? Maybe it's a structured routine. Maybe it's you know, in like a gym sort of situation where you're going to the gym every single day at a specific point. There's this reference of like really shaking things up, allowing them to bend, allowing yourself to play with it, instead of having so much of the structure. That's what I'm being shown, because I feel like I'm looking at something in a different way, in a way that, because I feel like things have gotten really rigid. I almost feel like things have gotten very black and white, and I feel like I'm lacking passion, or I'm lacking that kind of creative flow, or maybe even struggling where to go next, because I feel like I'm lacking a little bit of like passion, or like, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing. So it's almost like to bring in that kind of like light to lead the way, to bring in that kind of like jumpstart, you know, that lightning in a bottle of where it is you want to go. There's a reference of bringing in things that make you feel kind of like joy, and almost going back to like factory settings, or going back to the roots of just like your everyday routine, whether it's, you know, if it's something, because I feel like something feels stale. So I don't know if there's like a career path where you feel, oops, sorry guys, I don't know if there's a career path where some of you guys are feeling a little stale, or I don't know if there's just, it's just everyday life, a routine that you have. But I'm being told for a lot of you guys as well, you're someone that needs to kind of like shake up your routine quite often. Like I feel like when you shake up your routine and you change your routine, I feel like it brings a lot of light in. I don't know why I'm thinking of the 6th house in the natal chart, and I'm being shown mutable signs. So some of you could have Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius in the 6th house, because I just feel like there needs to be a shift sometimes. I feel like sometimes you can get a bit stagnant if it's the same thing all the time, or you've been in the same mindset all the time. So there's a reference to really like almost bring light, or just, it's almost like, say you have like a workroom or like an office, it's like shifting and shaking that up to kind of bring excitement there, or like changing the way that you apply yourself in terms of like the gym, or you know, just the lifestyle, like doing little things to like romanticize your life. I almost feel I want to bring play, I want to bring light, not because it's like business minded, or like I have to do this and being hard on myself. It's just because I want to do it. Like I want to bring joy, I want to bring lightness, I want to bring the fluffy, you know, I want to bring the, you know, the fun childlike kind of like essence, the creativity. I want to do that because I feel like that's going to bring that kind of excitement kind of like back to me, because I don't know why, I just feel like there's a stagnant feeling that I feel like I need to shake up. And I feel the way you're going to shake that up is almost like reviewing your rule book. I'm being told, like your rule book in regards to how you apply yourself to things, because I feel like there's like an outdated way of doing something. Like I'm being shown lists and taking things off the list. It's almost like I'm beginning it again, I'm starting something different, and I'm trying something in a different way. Again, different routines, morning routines, evening routines, but there's something as well about just romanticizing the life, romanticizing your life, but not in a sense of like, okay, I must bring the light back, I must bring the clarity back. Oh, there's a notification. I must bring the light back, I must bring the you know, that brightness back and the clarity back, so I must do X, Y, and Z, and then creating a routine out of it. It's almost like let it flow, like just allow it to flow. Do little things that you know are going to make you feel good and make you feel like excited, or like little things that you can kind of do as like self-care, like a pamper day, or like going to a spa, or like even just doing that at home, or I just feel like I'm romanticizing little things, and I'm just doing little fun things. And I also feel like I feel like I'm creating as well. Like I feel like I want to bring creativity through, and that could be literally in anything, especially if you're romanticizing. That could be designing, like, you know, getting some new decor for your home. That could be like changing up your style a little bit, rearranging things a little bit, like changing makeup, hairstyle, clothing, anything like that. I almost feel like I'm kind of shaking things up to be creative and kind of like have fun. I'm bringing a little bit of joy back in to get that spring in my step back. That's kind of how I feel, because I almost feel like right now I almost feel like a worker bee. That's kind of the energy that I'm in, and I feel like I've had to be, and it's great. But it's like now I need to, if I want to have like that, you know, accumulation of energy to kickstart something or to move forward, I feel like I need to change. I feel like there's a rebirth to come, but it's coming in a way that I feel like you guys wouldn't normally expect it. I feel like, and when I say rebirth, I'm also feel like I've outgrown like layers, and they're peeling off. So it doesn't feel like this big, deep, transformational rebirth. It almost feels like I've outgrown my shell. So I'm just kind of popping it off. I'm being shown like a tree when the bark comes off. I feel like I'm shedding something. So it's more like a shedding sort of thing. I feel like there's things to be activated, but it's almost like we want to water them. And I feel you'll do that by romanticizing certain areas of your life. And I feel like, just when I say by falling back a little bit, I don't mean throw your work to the side, throw all of this to the side. That's not what I mean. I just feel like I'm going back to the basics, and I'm allowing myself to intuitively build that way back up. You know what I mean? Like I'm falling back to the basics in terms of whatever it is I've been doing, like in my career side, my hobbies, like my lifestyle, my morning routine, whatever. I'm allowing it to just fall and like kind of like surrender to a degree, and I'm building it back up. Like, why don't I switch this with this? Why don't I switch this with this? Why don't I try this instead? And not because I feel like I have to do this. It's like I'm just allowing myself to kind of like flow into that. There's something I keep hearing, get loose, get loose, get loose. Like I kind of want to untie something, because then it's like an endless possibility of how it can kind of like go back into another form. And I feel like there's a lot that I feel like I'm being shown something bubbling under the surface, and I feel like there's a lot that's ready to present itself to you. And I keep feeling like I'm connected to my heart space and my solar plexus, so it's those two chakras I'm being connected to, and I'm being shown like little pieces of like jigsaw puzzles like clipping back in, but they're almost like waiting to kind of like be revealed. But I almost feel like I'm pushing them down, because it's like, no, I have to focus on this, or no, I have to focus on this, or can't give way to this because I'm doing this, can't give way to this because I'm doing this. And it's like almost because of the rule book or the mindset. So I'm like, you can't come out yet, you can't come out, and they're like waiting to bubble. They're just there waiting. They're not going to go anywhere, by the way. You can't miss anything like that. It's just waiting. And I feel like when you surrender, I feel like I'm being shown bubbles kind of like popping. So I feel like they're going to kind of like pop. And I feel like you're going to have little like creative ideas, little intuitive nudges, little parts of yourself that are just going to kind of activate and being shown. I would just say as well to just make more time to play, make more time to flow without a structure. You know what I mean? Like, I've got to be up at this time and I've got to be doing blah, 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 blah. Like, my mind feels like it's very like, I have to do this. Responsibilities. And it's like, I'm not saying throw the responsibilities out, but it's like making time for energy to kind of flow and kind of meet you. Because I almost feel there's pieces of yourself that are wanting to pop up and come through, where I feel very creative. I feel very like it's a very creative energy because it's coming from the solar plexus, and I feel good as well. Like, I feel like $1 million. I feel happy. I would also say as well to maybe revisit times where you felt really good and think of like what you were doing, how your energy was, what routines you had, because I feel like you may find a piece of yourself in that. So like, say now, oh, I remember like in 2019 I was doing this every day and this, and that was one of the best times of my life. So it's like incorporating that. I feel it might bring those parts of you like back, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I was doing this and I was doing that. I feel like that may be quite helpful as well, because I feel like I want to activate joy and happiness and those brighter energies. I feel like whether you've been personally, like literally doing it, like in terms of inner work, or it's just been happening, you know, in the background of your energy. But I do feel like there's been a clearing in the solar plexus. I feel like there's been a clearing in terms of like you working through insecurities, imposter syndrome, you know, boundaries and placing boundaries and tapping into your power. I almost feel like there's been like tests there and shakeups, but I almost feel like we've transmuted. Now energies are coming back or waiting to be activated. So I feel like with the solar plexus being the fire energy, I feel like you might have felt like your fire's been a little bit burnt out as you've been working through that, and I feel like it's about to be reactivated. But I feel like I want to get loose. I want to throw the old rule book or the old structure out, because it's almost like the mindset of like, I always did this because of this. Like this person always projected that I had to do this, so I always made sure that I did this in my routine, and I made sure I had everything together, and I did, you know, X, Y, and Z so that I was worthy, or so, you know, so that I could prove myself or whatever it was. But I feel like that's gone. The energy to do with it is gone. So it's almost like we want to get that mindset out, and the way we do that is we stop feeding it, and we feed that creativity, that happiness, that abundance, whatever it is. When you think back to like a couple of years ago or like a year ago, like, oh, I remember I was feeling really good when I was doing this, and I feel like I want to feed that, and I want to feed anything that makes me feel good, that allows my energy to flow, that allows me to feel excited, to feel happy, to feel ambitious. Like anything that feeds that makes me feel fun and alive, and it just flows. That's what I want to feed, you know, because sometimes we can clear something but we still feed it. Because it's like, think of it like when you have hiccups, right? And you get rid of the hiccups, but your body still anticipates that you're going to hiccup, right? Your energy can still expect, if you've been in an energy for so long, you can still expect that. The mind can still expect it. We kind of expect it, right? But when we stop feeding it and we make that dedicated effort over time to feed, you know, a different energy, a different frequency, that is when we can kind of come out of that pattern. And I feel like that's what you're being called to do. Because I feel in terms of like the inner work, it's done. Like I feel like in terms of the inner work that you would have been doing in terms of clearing, I feel like it's gone. But now we want to bring that light back in. Because like I always say, when we clear, we always bring that energy back. You know what I mean? There's a void, and then we bring that energy back. When we go through an ego death, we go through that transformation, we go through a void state, and then that energy builds itself back up. Nothing's ever meant to dissolute and be gone forever. It's meant to come back into another form, and that's what's really happening here. But I almost feel like while it's trying to bloom, I'm pushing it down because I have to do this, and this. I almost feel like I'm pushing joy and happiness out the way until I get something done. But it's your birthright to feel happiness in this moment. It's your birthright to feel abundance. It's your birthright to feel joy. That they're beautiful emotions that can really help us grow and evolve. And we deserve to feel those feelings, you know. And you don't have to have X amount of money to enjoy like a little sweet treat, you know, or buy yourself something little. You don't have to have everything together before you start going out there and enjoying yourself. You know, you deserve to feel it right now. And I think that's what is kind of coming in and being brought in. And that's what your inner child is trying to tap you into. I feel like I want to flow and enjoy myself and create and lighthearted. I feel like there's laughter. I feel like I'm happy. I feel like I'm flowing. There's humor. I feel like I'm just doing things just because it's lighthearted. I feel like that's a balance that your inner child wants you to bring in. So let's take a look at your oracle cards. Pile number 1, please, spirit guides. What does my pile number 1's inner child's, what does pile number 1's inner children want them to... We have failure reversed. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. Interesting. Pile 1, please. What is pile number 1's? We have honesty. I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. And then we have service. I feel good when I can help others. The back of the deck, you have surrender. I can release my need to control. Yeah, there's a flow-like state that I feel like you're being called to fall into. Like, I almost feel like I'm falling back to review. I feel like I'm falling back to review. Because I feel like I feel like I'm looking at a rule book that I've been using for a really long time, and it's so outdated because the amount of work I've done, I'm not the same person who wrote it, and I've untangled myself from a lot of webs. So it's like, I'm not, my energy's so different, it requires something different, but my mind is telling me I have to keep following this, and then I feel stagnant. Then I feel a little burnt out. I feel like the fire's burnt out, you know. Why do we have failure reversed, please, spirit guides? Yeah, I feel like this is coming from, like, I feel like I need to prove myself. With the fire card reversed, it's like with a failure card reversed, it's like if I don't have everything together, and if I don't have this routine like this, and if I don't, you know, if God forbid, like, I fall back or do something wrong, or, you know, I almost feel like even if I want to enjoy myself and have fun, or even when I'm trying to rest, I'm coming down on myself, because it's like, well, you're a failure. But we're meant to rest. We're meant to have those days. Think of, like, athletes that, you know, their most important days are days where they rest and they fall back. You know what I mean? They have to do that. When you go to the gym, you have to have rest days. It's not because you're a failure, it's a part of the process, you know. And people that, you know, work hard and do these things, they do it as well so they can have fun and flow. There's a balance. You see it all the time with, you know, animals. They know when to hibernate, they know when to fall back. I almost feel like there's a voice in my head putting me down for going off schedule. I feel like there's a voice in my head putting me down for falling back, or even making the littlest mistake. I feel like I'm fearing a mistake. I'm fearing falling back. I'm fearing that because I feel like a failure. I wonder if maybe growing up you might have had a parent that would have projected that you had to have everything under control, or put a lot of the, like, burdens on you, or kind of withheld love until you achieved something. I feel like that's something you've been clearing and working through, because I almost feel like there's projections here, or maybe there were just projections around you of, like, you're not worthy till you do this, you're not worthy till you do that. You've been clearing it. I feel like it's energetically gone, but I still feel like I'm hearing the voice of people or someone, whichever one resonates with you. And I've untangled myself, like, kind of like from that. I feel like I need to teach myself, like, it's okay to play, it's okay to have fun, it's okay to romanticize and do these cute little fun things too. It's part of the process, and I feel like I need to feed that energy and starve the other energy. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I'm gonna, like, lie down or daydream or, like, listen to music, and I'm like, no, I must continue. Like, I've got to put the headphones down because I have to be doing this and that. And I feel like even when I'm resting, I'm feeling guilty for resting. So I'm putting a lot of, like, I'm kind of not bullying myself, but it's almost like I'm telling myself, no, you can't be doing this. And then it's making my energy go all up, and then I'm actually not resting at all. And then I'm really tired. So there's something there. You're being called to really feed that energy of rest, feed that energy of play, feed that energy of fun, feed it, and teach yourself to flow and take time to do that, because I feel like that's something you're learning to balance. I feel like you've had to have your head down for some time, or you've had to get really real for some time, and this feels like a Saturnian influence here, but my head is down. You guys may have a lot of Saturn in your chart, a lot of Capricorn, Aquarius. Yeah, why do we have honesty then? I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. And service, I feel good when I can help others. I almost feel like if I'm not of service, I'm not doing something right, or if I'm not putting, like, my 110% and everything isn't where it needs to be, I'm not doing something right. And I really need to, I would implore you guys to as well maybe sit with those feelings of why you sometimes might feel that way, and really sit with, okay, well, why do I feel like I can't rest? Because I almost feel like maybe a bit of shame or guilt, like people might have shamed you for putting yourself first, or people might have shamed you for you know, wanting to play and tap into the more flow-like state, or the imaginary, the, like, the imagination and the, you know, that sort of state. I almost feel like I normally flow that way, but I'm telling myself that I can't. I'm a creative, I'm somebody that flows, but I'm telling myself that I have to be more structured, and then it's creating a kind of like fog. But I feel like I'm hearing somebody's voice. So if you're thinking of someone that you know would have projected onto you, I almost would call you guys to really sit with the feeling that comes up when you think of that person or what was projected on you, or like you need to get up and you need to do this. Really sit with it and think about like the feelings, because I almost feel like there may be like a little bit of an entrapment in terms of like a feeling, but this doesn't feel like I need to do all this deep inner work. I just feel like I need to let something out the box and flow, and then I need to like teach that version of me actually no, we're allowed to rest, and actually we do things a little bit differently. Actually we have our own timing. We don't have to have this by this age and this by this age. We're on our own timing, and we'll do it when we, you know, when we can, and we'll flow there when it's meant to happen, or when it's needed to. We don't need to force anything. I feel like I'm teaching a part of me that has kind of taught itself to fold itself in to fit a structure that is creating a bit of a burden almost. So I would call you guys to sit with where you feel that guilt or you feel that shame in terms of like wanting to rest and wanting to flow, and really feel into any feelings that are kind of entrapped. And then I would, by teaching that version of yourself, feed, you know, that romanticizing the life, the creativity, the fun, the lighter hearted side. We want to kind of feed that, you know. Yeah, so pile number 1, that is what I have for you. I really hope that you enjoyed your reading. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pal 2, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what part of yourself your inner child wants you to activate and make room for right now. So you guys chose the fairy moon, the moon fairy globe. I'm going to start with tarot, and then we're going to move into your oracle cards. So pile number 2, please spirit guides. Pile number 2, tap me into the collective of my pile number 2s, please. Tap me into the collective of my pile number 2s. What part of my pile number 2s is ready to be activated and brought to the front? What is pile number 2's inner child's gift? Oh, we have the devil. Pile 2, please spirit guides. Pile 2, I've just dropped a card. I've dropped 2 cards on the floor. Am I using these? No. Okay. Pile number 2, please spirit guides. Pile number 2, we have the 4 of Wands. Pile number 2, please spirit guides. Pile number 2, Knight of Cups. Pile number 2, 3 of Wands. And the back of the deck we have the 10 of Swords. Okay. Straight away I'm being told you guys are lovers. You guys are givers. I think you have so much love inside of you, and I think you have so much love to give. I feel like you guys, because of that as well, I feel like you guys have had to learn to really boundary up and to really learn discernment in terms of making sure that you are being poured into in the way that you pour into others. And I do feel that over the last couple of years, I do feel there's been a little bit of an elimination process in terms of your life, where I feel like you've been withdrawing your energy from certain people that haven't reciprocated what it is that you give out, that haven't appreciated that, and just people that haven't been able to step up to the plate in terms of your needs. I feel like you guys have done a lot of work in terms of understanding your own needs, activating your own needs, not playing small, and really looking and analyzing at, okay, you know, this is how much I give and this is what I bring to the table. Are people just trying to take, you know, my food and they're not bringing something there? I think you've learned that. And with the 10 of Swords at the back of the deck and all those swords pointing at the heart space, I do feel that there's been a rebirth in the heart space, in the heart chakra. I do feel that there's actually a lot of inner work that you guys have done in terms of your heart space. I feel like there's a beautiful rebirth that has basically been happening for you. Now, what I will say is, there are people out there that love the way that you love, you know? Even when you think of how many people have just clicked on this video and what I've just said at the beginning, there's many of you that are you know, open in the heart space, that are giving, that are loving, that, you know, are lover boys, lover girls, whatever. Like, there are many of you that are like this. There are people that are going to, in this life, be able to pour into you in the way that you pour out. I understand that at times there haven't been. I understand that maybe growing up you've been met with people where you've poured into them and they haven't been able to give that back. I completely understand that, but now that you know your own energy, now that I feel like there's been healing in terms of like childhood wounds, because I'm thinking of like the fourth house. I'm thinking of like the home and growing up in childhood. I feel like now that I've put things to bed, I feel like now that I have understood, you know, because I feel like I'm ready to receive. And I don't know why. There may have been epiphanies over the last year where some of you guys may have been like, oh wow, like I had, you know, this person or that person trying to kind of like love me, but I didn't see it because my energy was going towards people that didn't see it, and I was trying to prove myself, or I was trying to heal them. And then the people that were trying to like pour into me, or there was some people that were maybe open to me. I feel like you guys have been getting real with like, oh wow, they were trying to give this to me, but I didn't even acknowledge it because I didn't recognize it. I feel like there's been a process there for some of you guys. I feel like there's almost maybe even been a release in terms of like, oh, that connection or this connection, you know, I wasn't ready for it, or I wasn't able to open to it because I was focused over here. And I feel like some of you guys have been getting real with yourself there in terms of like, my energy was over here, I wasn't able to give here. That's just for some of you guys. If you don't resonate with that, that's fine. But I feel like you guys are recognizing and understanding, you know, that real love and that real like space that people want to hold, and real friendship and people honoring your boundaries. I feel like you're starting to recognize like safety. I feel like that's something that you've activated within yourself, because I feel like your inner child almost feels like, I feel safe. I feel safe to listen to my own needs. And I almost see as well you guys maybe like being with friends or relationships or whatever it is, and it's almost like, well, this doesn't resonate with me anymore. And now that I'm looking back, I don't think it ever did. Maybe I just kind of flowed to your rhythm, because I see you guys kind of sitting there like, actually I don't want to do these things, or actually I don't want to, you know, go out and party anymore, I don't want to be fast-paced anymore, I don't want to, you know, stay indoors, I want to get out there. Like, I feel like you're listening to your own rhythm and activating it. There's a lot of that that's been happening for you guys. And then in terms of relationships and connections with others, there's this feeling of recognizing safety, because I feel like you've activated within yourself, recognizing your own needs because you've activated within yourself. And I feel like the part of you that your inner child wants you to activate and be open to is connection with others. And I know some of you guys may be like, you know what I mean? But I do feel like a lot of you guys are ready for that. I do feel like a lot of you guys are ready to kind of, I even feel like in this energy, I feel like I'm ready to jump out the shell. I'm ready to open up. I'm ready to bring connection in. I'm ready to learn, you know, through other people. I feel like I'm ready to flow. And when I say in a light-hearted way, in terms of like relationships, I don't mean like, oh, no boundaries, I'm flowing into relationships in a light-hearted way, I have no boundaries, or I don't mean it like that. When I say light-hearted, the energy that I'm talking about is like, I am ready to open up to love, open up to friendships without the hold of old outdated subconscious beliefs that I'm not worthy, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I don't deserve this. I've transmuted it. It's been diluted. I've cleared that. So when I'm stepping towards the connection in a light-hearted way, what I mean by that is there's no restraints from the past. Yes, the boundaries are still there, and yes, we still have discernment, but because we're recognizing what we want and our needs in somebody else, we're able to, you know, align with that and see that, whereas maybe we didn't see it before. That's what I mean by the lighthearted energy. But I just feel open. I feel like my heart is very open, and I feel like that is something that you're being called to follow, and follow that vulnerability and follow that feeling, because I kind of feel like I want to be around people. I feel like I kind of want to be a bit social. I feel like I'm ready to bring like friendships in. I feel like I'm ready to bring that was a big truck. I'm ready to bring relationships in, and I'm ready to, you know, maybe even there may be like family members that you're not super close with or being a bit estranged from, you know, in terms of like if the love is like mutual and, you know, nothing bad has happened there, I feel open to that. I feel like I want to bring that in. I kind of feel like I want to feel that joy of being loved. I feel like I've given up love so much. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm ready to open up to that, but I'm ready to feel it. I'm ready to have that come back to me, and also just be vulnerable in terms of like that medicine from another person and that love from another person really flowing into me. I'm ready to feel my emotions, you know, to their full capacity and really extend that to somebody else again, because I feel like there's been a period for a lot of you guys where you haven't felt that way. I also feel some of you guys have been through a karmic period where you have been clearing, not just with the Ten of Swords being at the back of the deck, but the Devil card leading the reading. And then we also have, you know, the moon that the fairy's on, if you can see it. I don't know if the glimmer, oh god, I don't know what's, hang on a minute, I've just done something stupid, hang on, sorry guys, I just knocked the camera, but I don't know if you can see, if I kind of zoom it, there's like a fairy with the moon. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if the camera's going to pick up that. But I'm thinking of the crescent moon and like a karmic cycle kind of coming to an end. I don't know what I've done with the camera. Bear with me. That should be okay. Yeah, I feel like there's a cycle that's kind of like come to an end. And I feel like your inner child is wanting you to kind of just open up and step into your vulnerability in terms of like opening your heart space up to love. Because I feel like you give so much, and I think that the thing is with that energy that you've activated within inside of you, when it comes to like a match, somebody that's going to balance that energy with you, they're naturally going to be givers like that too, because you're both going to be in the same frequency, you're both going to be in the same energy, and I think you're going to really receive that back. That's what I'm being shown. So there's a reference there, as well as friendships, like friendships that really see you and really honor you. You're being called to open up to it in terms of, as well, setting the intent for it. Now, I'm not saying like push something, especially if you're not, to be honest with you, this reading, a lot of you guys do feel open to it. So I feel like if the thought of it's like daunting, I wouldn't say that it's not your pile, but I would really just sit with those feelings in case anything does need to kind of like flow out. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of daunting feelings. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of like, oh my god, you know, what if I get triggered? And of course, when we've healed something and there hasn't been medicine on it by another person yet, you know, when we get into those connections and friendships, there may be a bit of worry, there may be a little bit of a trigger, but just allow that to flow and allow that to open. But what I was saying was, I feel like I want to spark little seeds in terms of like opening up to like possibilities of a connection coming in and possibilities of a friendship coming in, because I do feel that's on the horizon for you. So I feel like I really maybe even want to sit down and be like, okay, you know, prepping for that. What are my needs in friendships? And what do I give out and what would I like back? And what are my needs in relationships? And what do I give out and what do I give back? And, you know, what do I bring to the table with my connections? You know what I mean? In my family connections. I feel like I want to kind of like sit with that and really play around a little bit with like my needs and what it is that I, you know, would want back. So you can really, really recognize it when you see it. I feel like that's something that you're being called to do. But I feel like there may, for some of you guys, be a little bit of like, what if it happens like before? What if this happens? What if that happens? But I feel like this, you've transmuted so much, you're in a completely different energy, that even if you still felt like you weren't ready, that people from the past, what energies like the past, it wouldn't resonate with you. Because the thing is, when we do like any sort of like clearing work or whatever, we sometimes think, oh well, energies like that aren't going to come in again, like where somebody might try and take from us. But people are always going to try and take if they can. People are always going to try and get a free buffet. People are always going to try and haggle the price. People are always going to do that. And it's not that they just stop trying to come in, you know what I mean? It's that we recognize and we're like, oh no, oh baby, no, you know, like no, we don't do that here. We recognize it. And I feel like you've already activated, like, this is what I deserve, this is what I want. I feel like you'll be able to recognize that's, you're not paying pennies for this crown, like you're not doing that. I feel like you'll be able to recognize that, you know what I mean? It's not that those energies aren't still lingering, they will still try their luck sometimes, it happens. But I feel like you've balanced the energy out of discernment. I feel like you've balanced the energy out, and I feel like you'll be able to recognize your own inner energy in somebody else, because I feel like you've activated that. And I do see with the Three of Wands, that Knight of Cups going into the Three of Wands, I do see an expansion in terms of the connections around you and people coming in to really like, I'm hearing that song, Relight My Fire, your love is my only desire. I'm hearing that. I can't remember who sings that, but yeah, I feel like there's connections and relationships around the corner, and you're being called to activate that kind of, because the thing is, you might even have tried to bury it at times, but you are my lover piles. I feel like you have very big hearts and you're very giving. You are, I can feel it. And I feel like we want to activate that and sit in it and be proud of it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I feel like at times you might have felt ashamed of that. That's got me in trouble and pushing it down, and you're being called to activate that and be like, that's a beautiful thing that I love like that. And I'm not the only person in the world that loves like that, because there's a bunch of you on the video. There's, you know, many people in the world that have activated that, you know what I mean? And now you'll be able to see them and receive that, you know? But I feel like at times you might have buried that, and you're being called to be proud of it. I think that's just it in terms of activating as well. Just activating like, yeah, I have these needs, and, you know, I have got all these needs, and I am, you know, a lover, and I do love that aspect of me. And I think that's something that's going to really awaken certain frequencies within you, and I feel like people are going to come in to kind of mirror that then, which is really beautiful. Yeah, so let's get into your oracle cards. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Pile number 2, tap me into pile number 2's inner. Yeah, I feel like maybe when you were growing up you had like, because I feel like you're very sensitive, right? So I feel like you had like needs and like emotional needs that you had to repress. Because I almost feel like I'm putting myself down for feelings that I have, or for the depth that I'm going to, and I'm learning to just stay in the shallow waters, but I'm itching to get down to the deep end. Pile number 2, we have service. I feel good when I can help others. Yeah, I feel like throughout your life you needed somebody to come down to the depth, but it was almost like you were taught to come to the surface. And I feel like you kind of just swam around the surface, wanting the depth, but you were just meeting a lot of surface level fish. So when it got to the point where you were swimming down to the deep end, thinking, oh my god, I found the fish, let's go down to the deep end, they weren't coming with you because they just didn't have that capacity to go down there. Some people don't expand so much emotionally. They don't want to tap into their emotions that deep. They don't want to go down to that depth. Maybe there's a lot of triggers that they struggle to do that, right? And maybe that's what they're meant to learn in this lifetime, you know? And I feel like you might have met a lot of people that have done that and stayed in the surface, and then you're like Nemo trying to go into the deep end of the ocean. And then they're just like staying kind of put. And you might have even at times taken that as rejection. Or you were bringing all the resources back from the deep end for the fish at the top, and it's like, well, where's mine? But they couldn't even go down to the deep end to get it, you know? We have judgment. One more card, please, spirit guides. One more card, please, spirit guides. We have blame. And the back of the deck, you have honesty. I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. Okay. Yeah, I feel like at times you've pushed down this lover energy, this like romantic energy, this vulnerable deep side of you. It's almost like that gets me in trouble. It wasn't that was getting you in trouble. I think what might have been getting you in trouble, I think you've worked on, which is having that judgment side, having the discernment, you know, having the boundaries. I think that's the part, you know, we were seeing the light and we needed to see the dark to know, because we need a full rounded view of people, you know what I mean? We need to understand all aspects of them. And I think that's been something, maybe learning your own darkness, you've been able to understand others and understand people from a more balanced degree. But that lover side's ready to come out. I feel like you really do, you know, deserve that love back. And maybe you've told yourself, I don't need connections right now. I don't need relationships right now. I don't need that right now. It's not a case of needing. Human beings are animals at the end of the day. Like we all move in tribes. You know, we see all the sea creatures, they move in their, like, you know, the pods, and, you know, the pods of dolphins or whatever. I always forget the names of all the collectives, but they all move together in collectives and tribes. All the animals do. We as human beings are meant to. And yes, there are times where we're called to go inward and do a little bit of rearranging, but there's always a time where we're called to go out. And it's okay to want connection, because it's very normal for us to want connection, whether it's with animals, whether it's with people and friendships and relationships. We're meant to move in communities. And, you know, there's a balance and a time for everything. And if you guys have been on your own for a little bit, I think that's coming to an end, honestly. I think that you listened to the call and you went inward, the crescent moon there that you chose, and think of like the moon in solitude and the fairy sitting on it. I think you've listened to that, and now the door's reopening, and you're about to receive that love back, and you're about to learn to give freely, you know what I mean, and learn what that's like as well. And I know that also can trigger people, because when we've looked at it from a negative perspective, you know, from some time, or we've pushed that side of ourselves down, we hear somebody say, oh, love's coming in or whatever, and we get triggered by it. It's like, no, because we've told ourselves it's not coming in, and we dealt with those feelings and grief, that when we hear it, it's like, no, that's a lie, you know what I mean? Sometimes that can trigger us even when we hear the positive things, and that's okay too, if you feel that way. Just allow any of those feelings to flow and feel into them, you know. So service, I feel good when I can help others. I feel like you're just naturally a giver too. I feel like you're naturally very loving. I feel like you're very empathetic. I feel like you have very big heart spaces. I feel like you're nurturers. I just feel like that's within you, and that's okay to have. That's okay to have, especially now that you understand discernment and you understand that balance. You'll know what's in your limit and what isn't, and you'll be able to pull it back when you need to. I feel like trust in yourself is a big kind of like key here. Judgment, I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. Yeah, I feel, and that coming into blame as well, I accept responsibility for my well-being. I feel like you understand more now. I feel like there's a level of like, you understand the kind of darkness now. It's like, okay, you haven't activated this within yourself to be able to receive this, so that means I'm not going to be able to receive this back. So I'm not going to like push with this, and I'm just going to step away. I'm just going to hold my energy back. I'm not going to keep going somewhere where I'm not wanted, or going somewhere where I'm not seen. Like, I'm not going to do that. There's a level of discernment. I'm not being respected by you. I don't think you have the capacity to be able to nurture my needs. That's okay. Maybe I don't have the capacity to nurture yours. Let's just, you know, create that space. Like, I feel like you're learning, having that responsibility of where your energy is going. I feel like you've learned it, to be honest with you. And I think that's why you'll be able to see, my tribe, this is for me. This is the climate I'm meant to be in. You know, this is the depths that I'm meant to be in. This is where I'm supposed to be. These are my people. It feels right. It flows, you know. I feel like that's basically what's happened here. And I think you should be proud of those beautiful aspects of you. I don't think you should shun them. I think they're beautiful, beautiful parts of you. I think some of you guys might be afraid or ashamed because before there might not have been a balance. But I feel like you've learned discernment. You've learned to look at the darker side too. I feel like you've learned, you know, to have that like restraint and to have a little bit of judgment sometimes, to be like, I don't think this is where I'm meant to be. You know what I mean? And I feel like you've learned that. So yeah, you're being called to be proud of that aspect of you and not to shun it. The romantic side, the lover side, the nurturing side. I feel like you're being called to be proud of that. I think it's such a beautiful aspect to have. So yeah, pile number 2, that is what I have for you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed your reading. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pile 3, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at the aspect of you that your inner child wants you to embody and bring to the forefront. So you guys chose the shell, and we're going to start with tarot, and then we're going to move on to your oracle cards. So let's get in. So pile number 3, please, spirit guides. Pile number 3. Pile 3, please, spirit guides. What, there's a boy band in the UK called Take That. It's not even a boy band. They're not boys, they're adult men, right? But they're called Take That, and they have a song that says, I know they say shine in it. I don't know any of the other lyrics, but it's the word shine, and I keep hearing that over and over. Like, I almost feel like, even with you choosing the shell, like, I feel like I want to pop out of the shell and be like, I've arrived. Like, that's kind of how I feel. Pile 3, what aspects of pile number 3's inner children do they want? What aspects of pile number 3's inner children do they want my pile number 3's to embody? A gift from pile number 3's inner child. Page of Cups. Okay. Seven of Swords. Judgment. And we have the Emperor. On the back of the deck, you have the 8 of Cups. Okay. Page of Cups, the 7 of Swords, Judgment, and the Emperor. And then we have the 8 of Cups. Okay. You guys have a really strong leadership quality within you. And what comes with like a leadership? When we're leading a group of people and we are building, let's just say, an empire, what do we need for that? We need courage. We need to have these great creative ideas. We need to have a level of fire and determination. And we need to have, you know, a very healthy ego, right? We need to have our ego kind of like intact. We need to have things that we want and that we desire, maybe a little bit of competitiveness. And we kind of sometimes we push down those feelings. We will we're told don't be competitive, but we have Olympics, you know, that's okay to have, and we have sports, and it's okay to have a level of competitiveness. It's okay to have that. You even see animals getting like, being competitive sometimes. It's normal to have that, but we demonize it in some areas, and we demonize as well, like for example with kids, especially the inner child, like we'll want attention to a degree. We'll want to maybe be like the star of a show, or be out there and be the funny one. And because I'm being shown you guys, I'm being just told to say you guys are really funny. I just want to pass that on. And I feel like you guys, within you have very grandiose personalities. I think that you're very funny. I think that there's this courageous spark, this funny, you're charismatic, but I almost feel like I feel like I have to kind of push a lot of these things in to where I don't even trust my own will. I don't even trust my own that competitive spirit. I feel like, oh, can't feel that way. Oh, I want to, put on a bit of a show here. Oh, can't do that. It's attention seeking. You shouldn't be doing that. Oh, I want to tell a funny joke. No. You're just trying to get attention. It's like all of these fun things, like where I'm shining, where I'm jumping out of that shell and I'm being fun and I'm being charismatic and I'm running after what it is that I want. Maybe I want to start a business. Maybe I want to be seen, if it's like a social media platform or something like that. Maybe I want to be I really want to be like a leader of like a community, in terms of I really want to get that a certain position where I'm a boss, or I want to be like an entrepreneur. It's almost like these feelings of that feeling, that spark, they're being called because I think that you're here in terms of incarnation wise. I feel like in terms of past lives, you guys have been in very leadership type of roles. I feel like you've been people that have listened to your instinct, because there's something about instinct. I'm not saying you're not intuitive. I see intuition here strong, but you also have really good instinct. We should do this. We should try this. Let's do this. You have instinct, right? Because there's a connection to the lower chakras, but I almost feel like I want to kind of zap that in. And all of these things that make me a leader, make me bold and courageous, because when we're a leader and we're meant to make moves and be innovative, when you think of the axis, when we think of Leo, that leadership energy, the axis there is Aquarius. It's more leadership energy, but it's innovative, right? So when we're a leader, we need to have that kind of like innovative spark, because if we're a leader, we want to make changes, we want to make shifts. If we're building up an empire like the emperor here, we want to, you know, look at things from a bird's eye view and try new things and create new things. And whenever we do that, whenever we go against the grain, because human beings love comfort, we get a lot of pushback. Can't do this, can't do that, no, you can't do that. We're naturally gonna be told off for these bold decisions that we make. They're gonna sound a little bit odd or a little bit strange or a little bit, but that's something I feel you're here to bring into this world. I feel like you're here to be creative and innovative. I feel like you're here, there's something about the Leo Aquarius axis I'm being shown. I feel like you're here to be innovative. I feel like you're here to create. I feel like you're here to be seen. I feel like you're here to maybe even bring messages to you and have them, you know, from spirit, and be really bold with that. I feel like you're here to assert, you know, opinions. I think you have very interesting things to say. And even from the light-hearted perspective, I think you're very funny. Those jokes that maybe you think of in your head and you think, oh, I'm not going to say it, might not land. I think you should say them. That's the inner child coming through. Like, you should be seen. Like, you should be, like, and whether it's on a stage literally dancing, or it's just you going after your goals and being seen by your goals, not letting it be known that you're after them. You know what I mean? This is my goal and I'm going after it. You know what I mean? I feel like that energy, it's meant to be activated within you, that go-getter energy, that fiery energy. I can do this. I can do anything I put my mind to. If I want to go to the moon, I'll go to the moon. Like, I'm going to do these things because it's within me. I feel like this is something within you. It feels like instinct, where I am a very like fiery person. I am a bold person, and I am somebody that's quite charismatic. But for some reason, I feel like I'm putting it in a shell. I feel like I'm hiding it away. I feel like I'm holding it back. I feel like I'm not saying the funny jokes. I feel like I'm holding back certain feelings. And maybe it's because growing up, maybe you had a lot of people target that, you know, and where somebody that's very confident or very open like that, we can have people that have pushed it within themselves, try and push it in within us. You know, they maybe had a parent that pushed that energy within themselves, then the parent went on to the child. And when that child had those natural, charismatic, fun, you know, energies within them, the parent pushed it in the child. So then the child goes out into the world going, well, anything that I see that is confident and happy, or whatever it is, I'm going to push that in, and starts to poke. And that's when we then, you know, come into our shell, because it's like, oh, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, shouldn't be loud, shouldn't be taking up space, shouldn't be competitive, shouldn't have this energy. We're meant to have those energies. You know, we're meant to have them. Yes, okay, from a balanced degree. Obviously, if we have too much of it, then it can be negative. But I almost feel like there's too less of it because I'm hiding it away. And we want to really bring them in and balance them. If you look at the Emperor card there, he's got the little crown on his head. I feel like you guys have that leadership quality. I feel like you guys are meant to be like bosses, entrepreneurs. I feel like you guys are meant to be in spaces where you can really be seen, be heard, be loud, be bold, be creative, and really get that seen. That's not to say you're not going to get pushback in those spaces. Anytime that energy shows up, we get pushback. You know, when we assert anything, somebody's going to push back at it. You know, when you get on social media, people are going to push back at the littlest things. You know, even when you got to scroll down comments far enough to see people saying you shouldn't do this and you can't do this or whatever, people do that. But I feel like you're here to be bold. I feel like you're here to be seen. But I almost feel like I'm maybe even hiding from maybe comments people make or things that people project. I do feel like I'm kind of holding myself back a little bit, and your inner child is calling you to really stand in that. And the way you do that for a lot of you guys, I feel like you need to flex that a bit more. I feel like you need to flex, and honestly, I feel like I just need to kind of like jump out of the shell. I think this needs to come, because yeah, we can go inward and do the inner work, and where does this come from? And if you want me to do a reading on where we can clear, you know, certain wounds that kind of keep you in the shell, we can do that. But for some reason, I'm not being taken there for the reading. I'm being more focused in the lower chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus. And I feel like I need to become something and actually physically shine. I need to get that joke out. I need to put that opinion out there. I need to put that boundary down. I need to be bold and go after this. This feels more like I physically need to do it, rather than I need to go inward. Because I feel like, I mean, if we're in a shell, we're going to learn to go inward a lot. We're going to learn to observe a lot. We're going to learn to go deep a lot. We're going to learn to transmute, because that's what we're doing in the shell. I think you might have already done a lot of that inward work. So now I feel like I need to be in the body. I feel like I need to be in the physical body. I feel like I need to let my voice be known. I feel like I need to break that wall. I think people need to see me. I think I need to, because I feel as well like I want to take on hobbies. Hobbies for like me to kind of like allow parts of me to activate. And this could be hobbies like that are extroverted. Maybe I'm learning to ice skate. Maybe I'm learning to go-kart. You know, maybe I'm learning to horse ride. Maybe I'm learning to do these things. Or maybe it's hobbies like within the home, in terms of like, maybe I'm learning how to like, because I feel like it's about the initiation. It's about, I'm picking up Aries energy as well. You guys may have a lot of fire in your chart, or like you guys may be having a lot of like fire transits, if that makes sense. I don't know why I'm being shown the sun in the first house, the sun transit in the first house, but yeah, I feel like I need to initiate things and do things. So I feel like I'm learning to sew. I'm learning to emulsion my home and do the wallpapering and the like. I feel like I'm beginner energy. I'm learning, because I feel like I'm in my like I'm thinking of like Mars. So I'm thinking of, I'm in my like Martian energy, and I feel like I'm like activating it, and I feel like I'm going after things. I'm in that go-getter type of vibe. Something about Mars and the sun here showing up, but I feel like I'm in that go-getter because there's Aries coming through. I'm activating something, I'm starting something, and I'm going after it. So it's like that competitive energy as well, you know what I mean? I'm competing with myself, you know what I mean? This time next year, I want to be like an ace ice skater. I want to be like the best horse rider. I want to be the best scuba diver ever. Like, I feel like I'm doing these things because it's like I'm activating these parts of me to be present and be in my physical body and be out there, because these are tasks that I have to not be inward, but I have to be out. I have to take the shell off for this. I need to be courageous with this, and I feel we're activating it more, so it becomes a natural energy we're settling in. And that then again is like me telling that joke, me being charismatic, me being funny. I don't know why there's something about singing. I know some of you guys used to sing and then stopped, but I feel like I want to call you guys to sing more. Something about the throat chakra, because I don't see any blockages in the throat chakra at all. The throat chakra actually seems very open to me, but I almost feel like I want to get, because I always say the voice is the bridge from what's going on inwardly to other people, right? The voice is the bridge. So it's like I feel like I want to kind of flex these feelings and emotions or whatever through the throat chakra, because it's like that bridge outward, you know. Affirmations as well would be really good for you guys. Affirmations would be really, really good in terms of you aligning with, you know, like, I am courageous, I'm important, I deserve to be bold with my decisions, like, I deserve to be creative. I keep hearing someone say, I said what I said. So that's another one, because I almost feel like, I feel like I'm gonna bloom, and I'm just expecting people to project and chuck at me. I'm projecting people to target me. This is why the shell is here. I'm expecting it. And the thing is, especially when we're online and, you know, we're doing whatever, we are going to get people that do it. And that is just what it is. We are going to get people that are going to try and target that. But I feel like you're learning to really stand in your bold, courageous kind of energy and be like, this is me. And that I said what I said, and you're not going to shake that. This is me, and this is what I felt like doing, and this is my energy. And if you don't like it, okay. Because we're always going to get that. I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. We're going to get that. Whether we're on social media or not, people are going to battle. You know what I mean? And I think that you've understood to such a deep degree, like, other people's opinions. I think that other people have pushed their way onto you at times and asserted onto you at times, to the point that I feel like you understand everybody has their own opinion. Everybody, and you know, has their own way of looking at things. You understand that. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean then that you can't assert yours. I feel like you've given way to a lot of people's boldness and, you know, feelings and projections or whatever they've had to say. I feel like you've given a lot of way to it. And I feel like what your inner child wants you to activate is like, just because everybody has their own truth and everybody has their own opinion, doesn't mean that you can't assert yours, especially when everyone's asserting theirs over you. It's your time to say your piece. And if people don't like it, well, maybe they need to learn what you learned, which is that everybody has their own opinion. You know what I mean? And everybody has their own way of looking at things. And I feel like that you're being called to really, like, it's the personality side. It's because it's all there, but it needs to get out. It needs to get out. People need to see it. I feel like I keep wanting to say how funny you are. Keep wanting to say that you're really funny. Funny and charismatic, just naturally. But I feel like I've put it away. Or I've been ridiculed for it, and I've put it away. But I feel like it needs to come out. And I think it's going to have a really abundant effect on your endeavors, creatively or career-wise or hobbies. Because it's like, well, I'm being seen in those areas. I'm running after what I want. That Martian energy is kind of like activated. I deserve this. I'm working hard for it. And I feel like it's got, those pathways will open up to you. Because you're like, it's mine. This is mine. This is my fate. This is what I'm bringing in. And I feel like there's going to be abundance there. That's why you're being called to tap into it. There's a lot of Martian energy. A lot of Martian energy. So like the Aries energy and Scorpio. And then I'm picking up a lot of Leo and Aquarius as well, that axis. We have patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. Pile number 3. What is pile number 3's inner child? We have pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. Look at all the yellow for the solar plexus. What have we got? And we have another one. We have fear. I realize that I am another yellow one. I realize that I'm testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. And the back of the deck, you have discipline. I can accomplish what I set my mind to. I love when the cards just show what I was saying. But yeah, I don't know if there's something you've been wanting to like build up from the ground, a leap that you've wanted to take, but I feel like that courageous energy is something you're being called to tap into. But I feel like I just got to do it, because with the patience card, I feel like you've naturally kind of like played into other people's rhythms. I feel like you've been patient. I feel like you've sat and waited, and I feel like you're learning, like, if I'm gonna get this, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. No one's gonna bring it to me. I got to do this, and I can do this. I can bring this to me. I can bring light where there was a void. I can do this. And I feel like it's tapping into your own inner power, you know? And yeah, okay, with the fear card, we have, I realize that I'm testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. Yeah, okay, there's going to be doubts, especially when you've been, whatever it is that would have made you go into your shell. And I feel like you all know what it is, because I don't feel like I need to really cover it much, which means that there's nothing to really dig at, really. But if you want me to do a reading on that, I can. But with the shell energy, I feel like whatever it is that made me go in the shell, that threat is still outside, but I feel like I want to look at it boldly. I feel like I want to assert myself. It wouldn't shock me if over the next year or two, you guys might tell some people off, and I don't mean like argumentative, because sometimes like my words will get misconstrued. I don't mean like argumentative, I'm being boisterous. It's not like that. It's like, I said what I said. You know what I mean? I said what I said. I respect your opinion. I respect that that's the way you look at things. Love that for you. Thank you for giving me an alternative perspective. Here's mine. You're not the only one with a voice. You're not the only one with an opinion. You're not the only one with needs. And if you're going to put yours on the table and I'm going to respect them, then I'm going to put mine on the table and you can respect mine. I feel like you guys have had people say, no, move your needs. Get off the table. Shh, be quiet. Here's my needs. Here's my opinion. And I think you've listened to people. I feel like you've sat at the table with their needs. I feel like you've listened to their needs. I feel like you've listened to what they've had to say. It's your turn to take up space. It's your turn to have your voice be heard. Not because it's like, only my opinion matters. Not like that. Not like that at all. Because like I said, sometimes things get misconstrued. Not like that, but in the way of, if your voice is to be validated and I'm validating your voice and I'm listening to it, then I respect that. I should be able to do that back. And if you don't respect that, I don't think this isn't a good, you know, balanced conversation or friendship or whatever it is. If you're not going to respect what I have to bring to the table and what I have to say, it's not really respected. So I don't know how this is going to work, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Or I'm just going to attract my energy. Maybe I don't want to hear your opinion now if you don't want to hear mine. We need to balance that. I feel like you've spent a lot of time giving leeway to other people's voices. And I think people have maybe been able to kind of like have you in your shell so they can shine and you know, kind of like get away with that. And I feel like you're here to shine too. Not because you're the only person that's meant to shine, but because we're all meant to shine, and you're here to do that too. And I think you have a lot of interesting things to say. I think you have a lot of funny jokes to tell. I think that you're very charismatic. I think you have a lot of people to inspire. And I think this is something you're meant to activate. There are going to be people that are going to try and push back. There are going to be people that are going to poke. There are going to be people that might not agree with what you have to say or like, but it doesn't mean that that's, you know, that's invalid and you need to go into your shell. Your voice matters. You know what I mean? Your needs matter. And what it is that you desire in this life and want to go after, you deserve to have a chance to go after that, you know? And not let people speak fear into your plans or desires, you know? Because I don't think you're doing it for them. You know what I mean? I feel like you don't. That's not what I'm seeing, you know? Especially with you coming through as the shell. And I think you're learning to have that healthy ego, building up your ego, you know, activating your, you know, your inner confidence, your inner willpower, your boundaries. I feel like you're learning to balance that and really activate it. And I think that's what your inner child is wanting you to do, because then it's like with the discipline card, you're trusting yourself enough to run after what it is that you want to go after. And I do see some of you guys really putting in a lot of legwork for your goals. To be honest with you, I think that you guys have kind of always been pretty disciplined. I think that you guys have maybe also always been kind of like, I'm putting something in my mind and I'm going after it. I think that you've just been susceptible to other people projecting that maybe you've done it hidden. Maybe you've had an idea and gone and ran after it, but then you've kept it in your shell. So maybe some of you guys, like when you have something good going on, you hide that from people around you. Or when you're running after something, you hide it. And I think it's the fear of other people speaking negativity or fear into your plans. There's a feeling of that. But now it's like, you know what? I'm doing it boldly. You can't shake me. You know, I feel like I'm anchored in. You can't shake me. And this is my life. And this is what I'm doing. Deal with it. You know, like I'm taking up space. I feel like I'm grabbing the mic. Yeah. I don't know why I was being shown in Mean Girls, where they all have to stand on the stage and say something, or like say like a piece of something. And I'm being shown like Janice or Janet when she's just had enough of Regina, and she gets on the stage and she just kind of does that big speech sort of thing. I almost feel like I'm kind of getting something off my chest. That's kind of how I feel, because I'm thinking of like Gretchen and all of them standing up and they all kind of like reveal something. So I almost feel like I've got the mic and I'm like, this is how I feel, you know? And yeah, you're gonna have people in the background like Damien, she doesn't even go here. Like I feel like you're gonna have people like that, but you know, I feel like you're meant to be seen, and that's what your inner child wants you to tap into. So yeah, pile number 3, that is what I have for you. I really hope that you enjoyed your reading. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching.